Hello, everyone. We're live.
Hey,
How's it going? So this is the first show and tell for the Starknet Realms War Hackathon. The goal of this show and tell is just to present to everyone out there the teams that are working in this hackathon, and especially we have some really good teams that are working on some really like interesting applications. And so the goal here is really to show you what they're building, tell you which tech they're using, how they're using it, and also their future plans and their goals. And so today with us we have three teams. We have Carlos and Mugen. They're working on Ponziland, which is a super interesting name. I was like going through the Excel sheet of all the registrations, and then I saw Carlos, and I've known Carlos for like a year now. And then I saw Ponziland. I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. But then I looked more into it, and then I had like a call with him 2 days ago where like he just shows me this incredible application that I guess you with Mugen you're also going to present it now. So I'm gonna quit talking too much about it. But then we also have Ramzi and Ainur from Carbonable. So they're working on a left curve, which is also a really interesting protocol. They were early on in the hackathon, and they've been working with Eliza, I think. And early on, I saw a demo at least like 3 weeks ago, like already like a fully fledged front end. So that's also pretty exciting. And then we have Yogesh as well, and he's working on a DeFi protocol where you use the auto client feature from Eliza. So every hour it kind of scrapes the market, or it analyzes what's happening out there, and then it makes decisions based on that. And that's being worked on Starknet. So the lineup that we have, first we're going to have Carlos and Mugen, then we have Ramzi and Ainur, and then we have Yogesh. So I'm going to let Carlos and Mugen, you can share your screen, and I'm going to give you the stage. And yo, what's up, Carlos? And yeah, I mean, just present, tell the people what you've been working on, how's it been going, the protocols that you've used, the frameworks, the tools. And then that should last around 20 minutes. If we have time, we have some questions from my side, but also from the audience. And yeah, without further ado, I will see Mugen. I'll add you to the
just
stage.
started screening.
Okay, perfect. And for now, I'll let you present. Okay, you can go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Hello everyone. I'm sure there's a lot of people curious to see what's going on during this hackathon. A quick intro about me. I co-founded a company called Rune Labs, and we've been working on like on-chain games and like different infrastructure, and we've been in Starknet like pretty heavily these past few months since the Dojo residency. Maybe some of you have seen me presenting at that event. That was in September. And now, since recently, we've been working on this kind of fun DeFi game thingy, which we call Ponziland. Obviously, we're leaning heavily into the memes, and it's a very kind of a interesting take on what you can do with tokens. I think what we were trying to do here is very much create an autonomous world. We're all like gamers, and we all love blockchain because we're gamers, and we think that games could be really cool with it. But obviously, we're limited right now. So the first game we built on Dojo was called Octogons, and that was kind of, can we make a complex game on Starknet? Well, we kind of can, but fees are still a bit high. We're waiting for Stu. And now we're kind of trying to explore, can we kind of gamify a bit more DeFi? Because like finance is already a game. We all know that. Like people on Wall Street basically play a giant game, and DeFi is maybe a bit more admits that a bit more to themselves, that like this is all like this big game that we're all playing, and it's like trying to outcompete against other people. It's just a giant poker table. And we were like, we see things like Pump.Fun, we see things like Unruggable, and all these different ways to just launch tokens. Can we make something that's a bit more gamified? That was the idea. Can we make something that can be more said to be a game and a DeFi protocol, and not just a DeFi protocol that has this like kind of fun assets? So we actually launched the game as a playtest yesterday, a private playtest. So it's right now running on Sepolia, and this is kind of like an early version of it. We're using a Dojo to build it, and obviously the cartridge team is great, and so this is like a very early version of a game, but it's a very simple map with a lot of land, as you can see here. And all land, these little construction sites are ownerless, so you can buy these and you can bid them, and there's a price. This is a Dutch auction, so it's a price that gradually goes down. So the more recent auctions have higher prices, and they're going to slowly lower until someone buys it. And then you see all these little custom buildings, which are buildings that people have bought. And the unique thing, kind of what we wanted for this game, is to not kind of gatekeep with the land. So we don't want all the land to be bought and the game is limited to just 100 players or 20 players that own all the land. Here, land has a kind of this price that you need to pay to maintain it. As you could see written, can you see my mouse, by the way? Just double checking.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So here you could see that the person who owns this land is paying actually a rate of 0.13 lords per hour. These are like fake Sepolia tokens we made, but is receiving from the other people the theoretical yields, well, not from the auctions, which is a bug we need to fix, but from these two land is receiving Stark. And so you basically are trying to arbitrage your tokens between land. Find because the tax is always based on the price you're selling the land. So here I could buy the land for 10 paper, which is another Starknet token. We all know the dope DAO, which is great. And because we're only selling it for 10 paper, they're paying a low rate. But if someone, for example, this person is selling it for 1,000 brother, they're all paying a high rate to maintain the land. So it's actually a really high value target to kind of buy land around this and try to arbitrage and make yields based on the pricing of everything. But what makes it more interesting is that this is all tokens which in crypto has crazy variation. Tokens could double value in an hour, and they could change just so much that it makes the game very unpredictable and hard to kind of manage and think of. And like currently we have a couple people playing or testing different pricing strategies and things. And this is when it gets really interesting, because this is an autonomous world. It's fully independent. Once we deploy it, we do not want to have control over it, and everything is just deterministically created, and the whole unpredictableness is from the token variation and also from the social aspect. Now, what's super interesting is because this is a persistent world that never dies, when you start thinking about how can you put agents into it, it gets very fun. And like you have a lot of different ideas. Like the first idea that just stemmed up from the start was kind of having these agents playing based on social sentiment, but also having the ability to directly tweet or talk in a Discord, which is like things that Eliza and Daydreams enable now, is that you can have these kind of chain of thought ideas. And the whole idea here was, if we have an agent that plays, that's cool. If you have an agent that just talks on Twitter, that's cool. But what if you combine the two, where when you play the game, you connect your Twitter, and now when an agent interacts with you as a neighbor, like one of these lands, if one of these are owned by an agent, they could directly tweet at you and like have these very archetypal personalities, like very cliche. Like we all know like the whole Blobbert AI agent, which is really fun, super arrogant, very, very on the edge. Well, we could have an agent like that, but we have many other agents. And that's just like the starting point. Just having agents that play the game and talk to people is really pretty fun and creates like these kind of viral moments, or at least what I think. And it gets even more fun when you could actually have agents interact with each other. Like you have, there's a very popular Discord server. One of our devs that really likes it. It's a Discord server where the Claude and 01 and 40 talk to each other, and like they try to make it as neutral as possible, and they just talk to each other, and there's these really fun conversations that emerge, and you understand why there's a news article saying that like a Gemini told a student to kill himself, because like these agents start like saying random things. So if they say these random things, but under the context of a game and like synchronize attacks and like positions, it gets very, very interesting. At least that's what we're hoping for and what we're hoping to be able to integrate. And then like these agents also could be like a DAO where people pay these agents and let them use their money and hope like find the best performing agents, use these agents to basically win out. Like that's kind of like the basis of what we're hoping for. And yeah, like as an example, well, I can't buy anything, I'm broke. Can I buy a POW? Yeah, I have some POW. Yeah, so like we could see this land is sold for 1 POW, and I could just like, yeah, like set the stake, which is for me to pay my taxes. I could sell it in Brother and sell it for 10. Please work. I'm broke, it's not working. But yeah, like this is kind of what we're the kind of want this just persistent autonomous layer, and people could like interact it in very unique ways. Yeah. Carlos, are there any things that I missed? Oh, we can't hear you. Can we hear him?
No, we can't hear you.
Yeah. Carlito, fix your mic. Oh yeah, by the way, quick for people who don't know, because so we are partnering up with Carlos' studio for this. We're 2 separate entities. So Rune Labs was our idea, and we were looking for an extra helping hand. So Carlos has provided his team, and it's like a 2-team kind of project that we've been working on for quite a bit now. And yeah, now my wallet is fully broken, which is so sad, because I think the bug is on my wallet.
Yeah, as we said, yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, thank you. Oh yeah, as Mugen said, this is a merged project between 2 studios. We are right now 8 people working on the project, and we are shipping really fast, and we have a clear priority on what to do, to be honest. Yeah, another thing that I wanted to talk about the project that I don't know if you talked about it, but for example, in the current narrative, the current meta, when we're talking about this meme coin market, for example, and we think about Pam.Fund, Solana, all these guys printing a lot of money, for example, with different strategies. When people ape in early meme coin movements, they always have to sell, and they have to put like a slippage over 20% of slippage, and that's like a lot. It's like a lot. It's crazy. Even when you are using applications to be able to buy these meme coins or whatever, like the default slippage that you have to use is like 20%, and that's crazy. And here we are playing with Ikubo liquidity pool. So basically, we are getting rid of this. I'm gonna call it an error, because I see it as an error, because I don't think that this should be happening, to be honest. So in the long term, and with big numbers, you can see that in the, having this kind of auction manner and all these processes are gonna let the users be more in control and have a more healthy financial system within their own holdings. And that's something that people don't used to really think about, because it's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna sell. But honestly, you are losing like over 20% or 50% or 10% each time you are trying to make use of these assets. And we think that this is also another feature that is gonna help a lot, to be honest.
There's no slippage when
No.
when tokens move between the land. There's 0 slippage. So like for the 2 big things, like we was mostly talking about the game aspect, but as like the DeFi aspect, the 2 big things that you need to remember is, one, this is a distribution channel. It's a great way to inject tokens to other people. It's a great way to get visibility and like get some pretty art of this stuff. Second thing is there is no slippage. So you can launch tokens here, just like do a bonding curve, or like set up a radium, set up an LP, and then just put all the supply on the land, and then people basically could could like acquire the tokens, and like basically they're debating the price between each other, because you could set up 10 land, each just pouring taxes to the neighboring land, and people need to hold land around it to be able to get the tokens. So you need to price out the people to be able to stay there and get constant yield, and you could maybe be smart and try to get a bid by like front running, which is like still possible, but it because it's a consistent rate of distribution, there's no transaction failed on Solana, which I'm sure we've all lived a launch where a couple of transactions failed and the token 10x's since the transaction passes, and you need to max out slippage and max all these numbers out to be able to have the transaction to pass. Here, at a consistent rate, it's more of a king of the hill aspect on distribution of tokens. This is like another mechanic, and like we're not just planning to have this game on as like one big autonomous world. Like we do want to like build in variations and see what people like in this game, particularly because we have this whole vision, but obviously we need market validation. So we'll see what people think of it, but we think it brings in like very cool gaming aspects in the autonomous world and the AI agent aspect, but also very good aspects in like the DeFi world and what like things can be done. And this was, to be honest, like the origin of this project was an excuse for us to get good at DeFi, because we've never built serious DeFi, and like DeFi is a whole nother ball game compared to games, especially in the security aspect, and getting back into the nitty gritty of contracts and payables and like token manipulation. It is actually pretty fun and a new thing that we're kind of learning and trying to like get a full expertise in like the Starknet stack throughout the months now. I think that's the whole DeFi aspect. I could also show a little, because we've got some cool pictures. So yeah, these all little buildings are just all level 1 buildings. As the game progresses and we push new stuff, the buildings will be able to level up. Now, this is an image. Can I share? I'll share the Discord.
When do you plan on dropping it? Because this is all like, super exciting.
Well, I don't like saying a date because we're developers and we all know that devs are really bad at estimating time. Our hope, maybe I shouldn't say this. I would say less than a couple months for sure. Hopefully, Denver. Hopefully, so the 28th. Hopefully, the game seems to be running. There's a lot of features we want to add. There's a lot of things we want to do, and like feature creep is like such a thing. Like you always want to do more. You always want to like add a new feature, and it's very hard to stay disciplined in our vision. Yeah, but yeah, I shared just an image.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you could bump it up.
Some really great assets.
Yeah, this is our kind of a bit more final vision of the game.
Okay.
At least there's no UI here. It's purely the game.
Okay.
So buildings will have levels, and if you own buildings for a long time, they will evolve and get better rates. So we have an incentive to overprice your land for a future advantage. And we also want these characters have changed since then, but we haven't updated the image. We want some little characters that carry the tokens on top of their head between the buildings as a little Easter egg. And our idea is hopefully to be able to add these characters as existing NFT collections. So if you have Blobberts, Influence Crewmates, things like that, they will basically, on all the land you own, you could choose which NFT you want to carry your tokens. But that's that's some front-end stuff we want to do in the future. So it may not be, probably not a feature on release. This is kind of our roadmap and future ideas. We have a lot of ideas for this.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, like then closing this off, then 2 questions. Well, the first one is which agentic framework are you using? So are you more with Daydreams or more with Eliza, or have you explored other agentic frameworks?
We're looking a lot into Daydreams right now. because Starknet is inherently very adjacent to Realms, which is inherently very adjacent to Daydreams, and Loaf is a beast. So if he does something, you better follow it. So we're looking closely into it, and I think it aligns more with the chain of thought idea, especially for games, where consistent patterns are more needed. And because we don't want just a bot that responds to people. Because you could have an agent that reads the game state and looks at people tweeting about to him and then just responds based on the game state. That's pretty simple, but it's like it would be impressive, but it's not a multi-layered kind of interaction. Our whole idea is having these archetypes of agents that will interact with humans and between themselves, but all around the game. So everything they do in the game, they have a knowledge, but they also have a knowledge of what the game is doing on Twitter, what the game is doing in the Discord. And they can interact with these three mediums, basically. One medium, which is the game itself, and the two mediums of communication, and like have a consistent kind of chain of thought, which is like the whole idea of Daydreams, with the whole like chain of thought kernel, which it requeries itself and kind of does what Strawberry does. So that's why we are looking close into Daydreams. It's still early, but it's improving crazily fast, and it's a very lean and easy thing to implement.
Yeah,
so that's our focus right now.
And you're building on the dojo stack, right? So it's fully on chain. Every operation is happening.
Everything, for sure. Yeah, fully on chain. Like that's what we're here for.
Nice. Where can people find you? Like on Telegram, on Discord, on Twitter? Like how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, let's tweet out. Yeah, should we? Let me share the Twitters. Let me just find the. Yeah, should I just tweet it in as a comment?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So we have this one. This is our company, and result.
Amazing.
Nothing is announced yet, but now it's kind of announced.
It is now.
We've soft launched it yesterday privately, so now we get some first feedback, and people seem to be liking it. So I hope.
And how many people is looking at the space right now?
At this page, we're at 800 now.
Okay. Hello, 800 people.
Welcome to Ponziland.
Welcome to Ponziland.
Amazing.
Release for Ponzi.
Then, guys, thank you so much for the presentation. Like super exciting. I'm really excited to play it myself as well. So yeah, thank you so much. Now I'm going to give the stage to Ramzi and Ainur, and they're working on Left Curve.
So awesome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
thank you, guys.
See you in Ponziland.
Yeah, see you in Ponzi.
Ciao. Hello.
Hello, Victor.
Hey. How's it going, guys? How are you?
Carlos, Miguel for the presentation. Really good. You?
Yeah, doing good as well. I'm excited to learn about Left Curve and also all these projects in the hackathon. Like we've seen some really great stuff.
Excellent. So let's do a little bit the genesis of the project. And here we have Ainur, Julien, which is working with us on the project with a lot of other people. We're around 6 currently on the project. So the genesis is that we are working on more serious topics since the beginning, since 3 years on Carbonable with some of the teams, but it's not only Carbonable people, some are friends. It's like really a side project that we are handling on our free time and so on, but start to be a really bullish project. It started with the fact that in the teams, we are all humans, all apers are investors, some are paper hands, some are doing like some degen shitcoin purchasing, some are maximalist and so on. It was really funny to have like so much diversity in the team. I'm more the broader side, let's say. And we were like, hey, let's take the opportunity of this hackathon to go degen, and we are really confident about going degen is a really good laboratory for experiment and for learnings. So we brainstormed a lot, but finally we had this idea of using the agent to say, hey, what about maybe your strategy is better than mine, maybe mine is better, or maybe I don't know how to make strategy and I believe on some else. So we decided to use these agent frameworks to make it evolve, let's say, and to create, hey, I'm left curve, I'm doing better than you, and we decided on this name like this to do the things. Which is the best strategy? Left curve, right curve, middle curve? I don't know. Everyone believe in what he wants. So the idea is that, hey, let's give the strategy you want to an agent, and let him do the work for you. Take the decisions, analyze the markets, analyze your portfolio, and take the right decision. So we created this trading agents framework that is using what is existing already, but going further to say, hey, let's make it trade, not posts. And this was the idea of creating an area. So we have things about each agent has his own token. You can co-own it. There is like some mechanism around the protocols, but this is details, and maybe we can go further if there is more question, but it's still something that we'll present at the end. And the idea is that, hey, let's go and create an area where all the agent could compare themselves, and let's try to rank them. The left curve being the more creative and innovative, the right curve being the more performing in terms of decision they make, and let's ensure that the only one that loses is the mid curvers. Okay, you can be left curves and be really original and really what the fuck and make it, and this is the same for the right curve. So maybe the best things, that was a little bit the genesis and how we started with the idea, and the best way to maybe show you how it works is to do the demo. I will change the sharing of my screen and share the whole screen so you can have a little bit presentation before going in the technical side behind. So we already shared about the front end stuff and so on, and today it's how we go further, how we show what is behind the scene in terms of technical stuff that we need to do to perform this kind of super app if we want to create this. That was really the mindset. Let's go to Gen, let's go on the hackathon, but we will try to do something, the super app on Starknet, and we really believe that. So we created this like really easy and classic, let's say, front end where you can connect with this kind of already involving the UX experience. So we are really inspired by Paradex on that front, where we want to have like a blockchain-free experience. So you can connect with your EVM, and the way it works is that, like in Paradex or in Hyperliquid, for example, you have to deposit if you are using an EVM wallet to connect. And when you connect, we are working on finishing the thing that it will create à la volée, on the go, a Starknet wallet attached to your EVM wallet. So the idea is that, hey, even if you don't have it, we have many ideas of how we could cannibalize a little bit TVL from other
ecosystems in blockchain,
and bring it to Starknet. But this is a side strategy. Let's keep focus on the tool. So once you connect, you can say, hey, I have my own strategy. I want to create mines and bet on mine. So let's go and create directly the first agents. So I call it Victor. I'm doxing you. You have to enter a lot of information, but we don't have time. I will just put the minimum information classic and deploy the agents. What is happening in the background is that we have on the right, on the left, the backend, which is running. We have an orchestration that is creating the database records that are needed. It creates a Starknet wallet for the agents. It funds the wallet of these agents, and then it deploy it on Starknet. So we are doing it live. So hopefully it works, working on my computer, let's say, but I think it will be fine. Then after we are deploying the token agents, so you can go and check the hash on Sequoia. It will work. And we will wait a little bit more so that we can have also the Docker part, because every time you create an agent, what we want to do is that anyone could do it. You don't have to be a developer to do it. You can do it in no code. So we are also proposing like underlying services that we are providing is that you click and we deploy for you the agent. So of course there's an amount to pay in the beginning, but we deploy the agent on the servers, and we have scaling solutions to so, and this is how it works. So we finished with the orchestrations. We have the new Docker that is created specifically for the agent, and this is for now working locally, but we are deploying in AWS to have like some scaling solution for the future. But the idea is that you can have like a trading agents with your own strategy working on Starknet and maybe above, and we're gonna check after how is working the decision making on that side. So once I have my token, I can go and ape on it. So generating the classics, the classic stuff, let's say, with the price, the chart, the trade history that I will have, what the bot did, some chat that you can chat, and maybe in the future to say to convince the bot to do some action. It's like more having some inception, or what the bot should do in the future and so on. We are creating this and having like the mainstream things that we have on the pub.fun like services, where you have the bonding curve. So to have an agent live, you have to achieve the bonding curve. During this period, there is some mechanism where the bot will trade and will be live after the bonding is reached. And this is how we see it. At the end, there is a leaderboard, and the fact is that what you are winning when we are having the bot token is that you are betting on strategy, and what you win, you will win the protocol fees, and you will share it with the winner. So yeah, there is a two leaderboard, one left curve and one right curve, and as we said, there's two ways to win. You can be left curve and right curve, and two ways to calculate points: performance, creativity, innovative, and both winners will share the protocol fees based on their position. And this is the idea of what we are bringing right now, with all the process and services that we are providing behind. I'm stopping here because I can talk 1 hour or more about the project, and I will let Julien give you more perspective on how it's working behind the scene, how is the AI part working on it, and it will be better with some graphs, and available for the question after.
Yep. So can you, Victor, please share my screen?
Yep.
Great, thank you. So how does it work in the background? So of course, as we've just seen, you can create your agents. So some agent configuration about its trading style, risk profile, so time horizon, whether he should trade hourly, daily, every 10 minutes. So the time frames of its trading strategy, and also some preferred narratives. So for example, you can create an agent which is mostly like a long-term trader or serious trader, and also some agents which is more about meme coin tradings. So you can create your agent configuration, as we've just seen, and also on our end, we're also creating some token profiles. So for each token that you can trade, there are some profiles linked to it. So token narratives, project types, and all that kind of things. And that will be used for some token affinity score. So if you created an agent which is more about meme coins, the token affinity score for something like WBTC or Ethereum would be rather low, and if it's more about some Dogecoin or Fartcoin or Brother, then the token affinity score will be higher. So that's kind of a static layer, something that is configured only once. And there are also some dynamic analysis layer. So every 10 minutes, for example, we scan the whole market and create some analysis. So there are technical analysis, so more about chartist analysis, like trading indicators, RSI, MACD, crossover, candlestick patterns, all that kind of things. Also some market analysis, which is around the whole market itself, analyzing some market cap growth, sorry, on that kind of things, and scanning also some news and social media to have some knowledge about the project on itself. So every 10 minutes, we scan the whole market. We log that analysis in our backend database, and that will be used as a provider for each agent. So now each agent will have that analysis to use it to choose whether to trade or not. And it will also use, so for example, the token affinity score. If you're a meme coin trader, if you're an agent meme coin trader, the analysis of the Bitcoin wouldn't really be interesting for you. So you won't use that token analysis, but rather some meme coins. And also the provider rate calculator. Again, if you're a long-term investor, maybe the short-term technical analysis wouldn't be something important for you, and so it wouldn't really be used. So it's also weighted for these three main analyses. And gathering all these informations, each agent decides to trade or not on which token they want to trade on and what they really want to do. Whether it's just some token swap, so the main thing, but also putting some orders on the market, because we are also linked to Paradex, and that's one of our main thing that we provide. So not just only some Starknet tokens to trade on, but because we're on Paradex, you can your agents will be able to trade also some tokens on Solana, on L1, on other L2s, and really having the possibility to trade the whole market, and doing some perp actions, because Paradex is around perp also. So that's the main idea. Having a common analysis layer is really necessary, because when you got, for example, around 100 tokens to analyze and thousands of bots, LLMs are getting really expensive. So you need to have a solution to aggregate the data and to provide it in a simpler and efficient way to do so. And I think that's it for our hand. I don't know, Ramsey, if you want to talk about something more on the technical side.
No, I think we said enough. The idea is really simple. It's an agent challenge, a trading agent challenge. You can every agent have his own strategy provided by the creator. You can bet on the best strategy based on their performance and so on, or you can bet on your own strategy. So this game is really simple. Behind, the complexity is huge because you have like some infrastructure complexity. We are also providing on top framework on top of Eliza to have like really how to make efficient decision, efficient in terms of performance, but also in terms of token consumption. So there's a really big engineering behind it. We are really putting a lot of effort on it, and the idea is that we don't care. So we want to be complexity abstracted, blockchain abstracted, and having fun. Which is the best strategy, and stop putting your trust in bullshit online. Just try it, and there's agent for that, and they can trade, and they can tell you what is the best strategy. Should you left curve? Should you right curve? Should you hold? Should you trade like an MF? Yeah, let's try it. Try yourselves. Get your results and bet on the best one. So this is the idea of left curve, and this is how the plan to break the ecosystem in the future months.
Amazing. What was the most challenging part of building Left Curve?
I think first we had to, and we have to, because we are still working on it, to create a Paradex plugin for Eliza, because we're mainly using Eliza for the moment. So creating a Paradex plugin and also use it in an efficient way for our agent in infra. Because as I said, there are a lot of tokens to analyze, and you want to be somehow cheap in LLM's tokens if you want to have an analysis every 10 minutes and not one analysis per day. So that's one of the main issue, and also the scaling solution, because now you have to because we are providing some agent launchpad. So in each Docker, there's an agent. So you have to manage the scaling of on the infra. So that's also.
And maybe in addition, so the idea is that Starknet is the best place to build this. So you have this agent that have their own wallet that can take decision and compute the decision they want to do by creating transactions that don't need to sign and so on. And native account abstraction is really crazy about it. Of course, it's an opportunity, but the complexity is there's a lot of to create on the for the app from the AI part. So having decision taken and good decision taken in line with the strategy, having both that do trade, and having enough token to trades. So do we stay on Starknet? Do we open it? Maybe Paradex is a way to answer to this by opening gates. And the scaling part, of course, we want to be like really something that is streamlined, that you don't have any blocking points. And the infrastructure side, the backend side is really important to have like something that is seamless, and you don't see abstracting all the complexity and focusing on the game. This is the complexity, and the more stupid we will and simple we will show, the more complex it will be. But this is the job.
Amazing. So closing question: when do we expect Left Curve to go out?
We try to ship fast and focus on that. It's really important to be able to not over-engineer and not masturbate on the ID that we have a lot of ID. So we are focusing on keeping the timeline of the hackathon, at least for a POC. We have many phase of launch, alpha, beta, and go. So we will open it to a small amount of people of the ecosystems, and maybe to more people of the ecosystems in the beginning, just to do some tests. And we need to be connected to the people, and we are doing already so with some of friends. So yeah, all we can say is target is the end of this hackathon, and objective is the Denver hackathon timeline.
Amazing.
Which is amazing regarding the work that we have to do.
Well, I'll see you in Denver then, hopefully. Yeah. Ramzi and Julien, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to play with Left Curve as well. So
yeah, come and spend your money.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I'll give the stage now to Yogesh from Shikamaru.
Hello. So is my voice audible?
Yeah, we can see you. We can see your screen.
Oh, that's great. So first of all, nice project by the Ponziland and the Left Curve team. Great presentation. I really learned a lot. And yeah, thank you to the Starknet team for having us here. Let's get started. So our project is Shikamaru protocol, and to sum it up in one word, what we are trying to do is a DeFi mutual funds platform. So the main idea or the main theme behind the project is very simple: to onboard the existing Web2 users onto the Web3 space via the Starknet ecosystem. So I talked to a lot of my friends, and I did some research. We did some research, and we found that a lot of existing Web2 users have this sort of scare that what if their money is lost, or which protocol to invest in. Every time you open a DeFi protocol, there's a bunch of jargons that you don't understand. There's a bunch of stuff that you don't understand, and there's always this fear that what if you lose a lot of money? Is there any safe bet which you can do? Suppose I have a monthly income of, let's say, $1,000, and I want to invest $100 into some safe space where I know there will be average return of 20 to 30%, or average return of 50 to 60%. So this is what we are trying to solve with the Shikamaru protocol. It is still very early stage. We are just starting to get things moving, trying to integrate multiple things. So yeah, let's get. I'll tell you more about it. So the one of the major things is why we are going with the mutual fund concept and the SIP concept. It's pretty new to the DeFi space, I would say, but it is very common in the existing Web2 ecosystem. So the first thing is we want to average out the risk for the users, and we want to tell people that crypto is here to stay. It is here to stay for a long time, and you don't just need to put in your money and take it out after the biggest meme coin has launched. So we want to keep the liquidity in the ecosystem. So that is one of the major things, the rupee cost averaging. Next is the discipline investing. So what I just said, that suppose someone has a $100 investment every month and he doesn't know what to do. He wants a safe return and he wants to minimize his risk depending on the person. So this is the kind of people that we are aiming at. And yeah, reduced volatility impact, which is just the same thing as the first point. uh, yeah, again, the same thing. These are some of the common terminologies which we are taking from the traditional mutual funds onto our Shikamaru protocol. So the one major difference that we are aiming for here is the fund manager. So this will be a complete decentralized solution. There will be no fund manager, and instead of that, we'll be using the Eliza AI for managing funds and rebalancing funds. So suppose after the pool has created and the pool has, let's say, $1,000 worth of money. So Eliza AI, depending upon the risk, will invest that money into different protocols altogether, managing the risk and the returns at the same time. So this will be based on the character profiles that we have already set. Right now, we have three character profiles, which will be high, medium, and low. I'll explain more about it in a short while. So yeah, right now we have three character profiles, and based on these character profiles, we'll have our risk and we'll have our return. The next major difference is the bank versus the smart contract. So we want it completely decentralized. As decentralized as possible would be the right set of words here. So we want it to be as decentralized as possible. So we are having every transaction via the Cairo smart contracts. Users will simply have to select the portfolio, uh, which are three at the moment. So users will simply have to select a portfolio, invest their money, and just forget about it. Don't think anything and come back a month later and have your shares. And since it will be a monthly thing, we also have a lump sum investment kind of thing, so you can invest all of your money at once. And we also have a SIP investment thing where you can come every month and invest a particular set of amounts, which will be compounded as usual. So yeah, going next, these are some of the key features that most of them I've already talked about, but let's go through them one after one. First is a systematic investment plan, so users can regularly invest via the SIPs. Next is the lump sum contribution. So suppose someone has a huge amount at the moment and he wants to invest into a very high risk strategy. So he's fine with taking a little more risk, but he wants more returns. So he can invest into a high risk strategy, and Eliza will make sure that it invests into the high risk pools at the moment. So Eliza, right now we have a couple of protocols that we are trying to integrate with, and Eliza will allocate those funds into those 4 or 5 protocols and try to get the maximum rewards as much as possible. The next is the AI driven fund allocation. So a human will not be basically setting up the amount of funds that will go into each protocol. Rather, it will be adjusted by our Eliza AI, which is based upon some of the character configurations. So based on the risk already set up, the Eliza will auto calculate, and based on the current market conditions, the Eliza will auto calculate how much money to invest in which protocol, and when to sort of lower down the risk and when to increase the risk based on the returns. It will also recalculate the market conditions and recalculate the amount invested every 12 hours or 24 hours. We are still thinking what to set the timeline as, but yeah, Eliza will recalculate the amount. It will check the previous orders. It will use Eliza's memory management to see if the previous orders have generated the returns that we were expecting it to, and if not, then it will change it further. So all this will be done by Eliza, and it is agentic. So the user won't have to do anything. The user won't have to think anything. All this will be happening automatically based on the market conditions and the newest trends that are out there. The next part is security and transparency. So there were a couple of doubts here. And should we invest to the protocols directly from the Eliza, or should we create a level of interface in between? So we have decided to go with another layer of interface between Eliza actually executing the transactions and the money going into the protocols. And this is fully transparent on chain, so nothing to worry about. This is not adding a layer of centralization here. The reason why we are doing this is so that we can stop it in an emergency case. We are trying to add a security layer in the worst case possibility, in the worst case scenario. Suppose there is a bug or something goes wrong with the Eliza analysis, we can put a pause into the protocol at the moment, which is why we have created this interface in between. And the next is the smart contract architecture. So I'll explain the architecture in a bit. Yeah. So next is user flow. So how will the complete journey look for the user? We don't really have a very sophisticated front end as of yet. I'll show the front end in a minute, but it's better to explain the user flow through the PPT. So the investment will look somehow like this. User will, I'll just show the PPT front end also. So the user will come to our platform, and right now we have three vaults. One is the high growth vault, one is the balanced vault, and one is the stable vault. The high growth vault will target the newest meme coin. It will target the most trending pools right now, and it will take the maximum amount of risk. And based on that, the APY is also high. So the higher the risk means higher the chance of losing out. But yeah, this is purely on the user which vault he wants to invest in. So ideally the user will have these three vaults, and he can click on any of these and select the strategy. So suppose I have selected the balance vault, and these are just dummy values at the moment. We'll integrate it with everything to show it by the end of the hackathon, hopefully. So here is the total value logged and the current APY, active investors, risk level, everything. And he can select the token that he wants to invest in: ETH, USDC, Stark, and USDC. So we want to first start with these four tokens. So if user has ETH, USDC, Stark, or USDT on the Starknet ecosystem, he can invest his amount with that. And yeah, we will add a SIP button here and a lump sum amount button here. So users can select what he wants to choose and just enter the amount and invest. So right now this is not a working front end. We have not integrated it with the smart contract yet, so we can't see the execution. But this is the idea. Let's get back to the PPT.
Amazing.
Sorry, is everything fine?
Yeah, everything is good.
Yeah. Yeah. Next is the token management flow. So there's one other thing that we are trying to do. Here in, if you look at the available tokens, suppose the user has invested with USDC, and right now Stark is having the most traction and the prices of Stark is just shooting up. So this will be analyzed by AI again. So internally we'll convert all the USDC pooled here into the Stark, and the Eliza will make the transaction using that Stark. So will integrate AMM here, and the Eliza will trigger the AMM, and it will convert all the USDC to Stark and make transactions. So Eliza will tell us which token right now is hot and which token should be used for investment purpose. So this is the token management flow right here. Let's go. Next is the smart contract architecture. So the first is the pool manager, which right now there's a factory pool manager, and then there will be other pool managers. Right now we have three pool managers. Next is the strategy manager. Strategy manager will be integrated with the Eliza backend. So Eliza will trigger the transactions to the strategy manager, and then strategy manager will handle all the L3 integrations. We are planning to go with Jedi Swap, MySwap, ZK and some of the most famous AMMs, some of the most famous DeFi apps on Starknet right now. But we'll go further with cross-chain also. And next is the Eliza Investment Manager. This is our backend Eliza AI platform. And next is the token handler. So this was the AMM that we were talking about to swap the most hot token right now. Cool. Next, go with the Eliza integration. So it's better to just a second. It's better to understand with the flowchart. So we have decided to go with the auto client instead of the direct client. I'm sorry, am I taking too much time? I think.
No. Go ahead. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah. So we have decided to go with the auto client instead of the direct client. The reason for that is while conversations are pretty cool and sounds very interesting, from our research, we found that it was creating a bit of mistrust. So we wanted to have a clear front end where users can select the strategy they want to invest in, and users can see properly all the data. So auto client just felt like a better approach here. And auto client also allows us to trigger actions and trigger providers every 24 hours or every 12 hours, whatever we set. Next is after every 12 hours it will fetch the market data. It will go to the strategy evaluator. Strategy evaluator will then generate the strategy. Here we are sort of utilizing all the Eliza features, all the features that we want to, the memory management and fully utilizing the database here. It will then create a strategy for this for us and execute trades. And after execution it will also update the current positions to sort of get the loop in for the memory.
And how do you actually how do you fetch the market data?
So we are using different APIs right now. For we also want to fetch the market data for all the providers, which are Zcash and Jedi Swap and MySwap at the moment. So using their API, we are fetching their market data, and we are fetching market data of Stark, ETH, and other coins right now. Binance and a couple of open source APIs we are using for the market data.
Cool, nice.
Yeah. So after a new strategy has been created, I wouldn't say a new strategy. After the strategy has been reevaluated, it will again wait for the next cycle, and if there are any changes needed in the strategy, it will again make those changes to the strategy. Risk management, I think I've already described the risk management part, that we are creating another interface layer, and everything on smart contract will audit things as much as possible. So those will be the oh yeah, one more thing, we are also for the low risk strategies and the medium risk strategies, we also want a certain level of liquidity in the pools, so that new pools are generally not targeted, because new pools generally might lead to loss. So for the low risk strategies mostly, we are also checking the liquidity in the pools at the moment. These are just our timeline, very old. We'll just skip this. Yeah. Next is the future additions. So on top of these three are the major points that we also want to integrate. I've not added this in the key features because I don't think we'll be able to finish this future additions by the end of the hackathon. But we also want to go cross chain. So users can use the Starknet liquidity to sort of gain returns from any chain. This will help the Starknet ecosystem overall, I believe. Next is AI driven meme coin detection. So it will snatch all the meme coins, the hot meme coins, and increase our returns at the moment. And suppose I had this idea. Suppose the new Trump coin is on the Solana network, and you're too late to buy it. Well, you don't have to worry about it because our Eliza AI has already managed to invest a particular amount of your portfolio into that meme coin. So you have already gained the returns you want, just a bit lower because it will invest a particular amount of your portfolio into the meme coin. So you don't have to keep on the lookout for what meme coin you want to buy, or what hot shot token is there which you want to buy. Eliza will automatically do that for you, and it will do that across the chains. So even if you're on Base, or if you're on Solana, or if you're on Ethereum native, whatever chain you have the investment opportunity you want. And the next is Twitter sentiment analysis. So this is again just an idea, but a lot of coins that are going to gain prices are first on Twitter. Like there's a lot of drama and a lot of tweets on Twitter, so you can get idea which coin will going to go up. So we were also thinking, what if we want to invest, we can allocate a small percentage of our portfolio into these unusual increase in prices. So these were our future additions that we are thinking. And yeah, I think that's all from our side. My teammates could not be here, Really sorry for that. But yeah,
No
hopefully the
worries.
next time we'll all be present.
Yeah. How many are in your team actually?
So we are 3 people building this at the moment.
Okay, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I guess your end goal is the hackathon deadline on the 14th.
Yes, correct.
And do you already imagine what could happen afterwards, or are you fully focusing on the deadline first?
So first we want to go with the deadline, but we have a lot of features that we are discussing. We have a lot of stuff that we also want to add. So as the hackathon goes on and as our project matures, I think it's still very early. We have our pieces together, but we still have to integrate them together. So I would say it's still very early, but as the hackathon goes on, we'll try to think about the future.
Amazing. But it's already starting to look great. So with the UI and also the architecture that you use and the fact that you're leveraging the auto client component from the Eliza framework, that's already super impressive. And so yeah, we cannot wait to see how it will look like on the deadline and also afterwards, and how you continue working on it. So thank you so much for building this.
Yeah, great. Thank you for having me. I had a nice time. I got to learn a lot from the other projects also. So
Yeah,
hopefully,
of course.
yeah.
Amazing. Okay, Yogesh, thank you so much. You were the last one in this call, so we're now gonna wrap up. Actually, it's now the end of the show and tell. We're also gonna have another show and tell on the 11th of February. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, this is going to be published on YouTube. It's only being streamed on Twitter right now, but you're going to have access to the video eventually, and also on the transcript. And if you want to rewatch the whole show and tell, you'll be able to do that. So thank you also everyone who's been watching and who's been with us since the beginning of the stream. And we'll see you on the 3rd of February. We have a workshop with Tech Noir, who's going to explain how he did an integration of Eliza and of an Eliza agent into the Eternum game. So Eternum is a fully on-chain MMO game. It's on Starknet. Every action is on-chain. And he's going to run you through how he got to integrate a certain agent and how he did it. He's going to walk you through that workshop, how he did that integration in Eternum. So that marks the end of this stream. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the 3rd.